Thank you, Cahirlock, and thank you, Deputy Spring. Can I just say it's actually such a pity that, especially on the government side, that due to our overwhelming majority, that we get so little time to speak on something, particularly when you really like to contribute to what you believe is a very meaningful debate. I suppose I would like to paint a picture to illustrate my contribution to the debate on junior cycle reform. I suppose, like many others who've spoken here today, I'm a teacher. I'm a secondary school teacher. So the picture starts back in 1998, going into my interview for my HDIP course to see whether or not I was going to be successful at getting a place on the course. And I can remember one of the lecturers who interviewed me asking about what skills would you bring to the classroom. And I can remember speaking about two things, because I was really excited about these two things. And I says, I would love to bring in the use of media, TV and radio into my teaching. And because I was so excited about the concept of introducing both of those. So anyway, got onto the HDIP course, where we spent a full year studying the whole concept of what are we supposed to be doing around learning, what is learning, the sociology of it, the philosophy of it, the psychology of it, teaching methodologies, active learning methodologies, what does curriculum and assessment mean, what's classroom management, and how do you actually make a child or a person learn. And coming out of your year of your HDIP, you come out like every other person who will see this and who listens to this. You come out enthusiastic. You come out wanting to deliver all the excitement that you have put in to getting that place on that course, so that you can be part of an education system that essentially in your little mind wants to transform the world, and you start with the little people in front of you. But soon after that enthusiasm of gaining a place in a school, you realise that the system, and I use the word system to conceptualise something that we can't actually picture, the system takes all of that away from us. And we soon realise that most learning takes place in the reality for a student behind a desk, in a seat, through the medium of teacher talk, supplemented by books and copies. And yes, we have interactive whiteboards these days, but really the interaction is between the teacher and the whiteboard, with the students as passive learners onlooking. Yes, you do remember your HDIP days, and you constantly try to look at ways of including those active learning methodologies. But the reality is the system doesn't allow for it. And you try your best to introduce. I remember using TV and getting students pretending to be reporters and talking about the impact of a volcano, and they're describing the effects of it. A much more practical way of learning than me sitting there and pointing at the picture in the book and saying this is what a volcano does. But the reality of the current system is it doesn't allow you to actively engage with active learning methodologies, which are the real way that we learn. I only know about how to work in Leinster House after spending 18 months working here. I could have read the big book, which was this size that they gave us, and I still wouldn't understand it. It's when I get up and I do those things. And the current system doesn't allow us to do that. And why? It's because we have a junior Cert exam. A junior Cert exam, which during the month of June, after 3 years of starting school, asks you to write about everything you can remember. It doesn't ask you to talk about the teamwork that you had when you were making that video. It doesn't ask you to talk about the creative thinking you had to do, maybe with working with TV angles in order to
You have 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. It doesn't ask you to talk about all of those things which actually bring the learning to life. For people who understand teaching, what I'm talking about is the curriculum. You open up any syllabus on any subject, there is a curriculum there. It's the life that you bring to the subject. But unfortunately, the assessment process that we use to measure that subject doesn't measure the life that is instilled in you and the learning which you really take on board. So what do we do as teachers? Because the syllabus is overloaded and we know we'll never get through those chunky books, we cut short corners. We realise that we can't deliver on active learning methodologies every day of the week because of the constraints of our overloaded work. We try and get the best for the young people who are in front of us. So we go back to the didactic approach to teaching, where you listen, I talk, and you try and remember as much as we can, and hopefully you'll get a good result on the day. And that's what we all hope for our young people, is that they do get a good result. And the reality is that they do. One writer described that process as the assessment tail wagging the curriculum dog. The assessment telling us how we should teach, whereas the curriculum should be telling us, and it does tell us how to teach, but we teach according to what the assessment is going to ask us about. That's not independent learning. What I want to say really on this is, that's my picture of what the current cycle, junior cycle, is about, or junior cert is about. And my understanding of the new junior cert reform is about addressing that imbalance between curriculum and assessment, and making sure curriculum plays an invaluable role in the assessment process, and that what's assessed is based on what we teach, so that it is worth my while actually be thinking, getting the students from behind their desks and getting them up out of their seats and actually getting them on their feet and getting them to understand the process. Two things that I believe the junior cert cycle reform is about. Number one, it's about saying goodbye to those days of rote learning and teachers having to second guess what's coming up in the exam and hoping that you can do your best and cutting short corners on what is, in my opinion, an overloaded syllabus in most subjects. The second thing I think this junior cert cycle is about, this reform is about, and I'll finish on this, it's about embracing a new process which will see the balance between curriculum and assessment being redrawn and bringing life into learning. And it's underpinned, and I think that the 6 key skills that the new reform is underpinned by are fantastic. And I genuinely believe, if these are assessed properly, that I do believe it will lead to a society where young people grow up equipped with the skills to engage and adapt where necessary to the challenges life brings to every single one of us. Thank you for your look.
Deputy, for your contribution. Deputy